What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Celtics Daily Channel with me, Mike Zakarian. We are so freaking close to NBA basketball, so much so that the preseason has already gotten underway, and it feels like every single team has had a preseason game besides the Boston Celtics, which they don't play until Wednesday. Wednesday of this week, we have the Celtics' first preseason game against the hospital Memphis Grizzlies, who continue to just lose guys left and right. Anybody that we've talked about as a potential trade target with the Memphis Grizzlies, a la Brandon Clark, seems to have gotten hurt. So shout out to the Grizzlies. But we're excited as we finally get some preseason games. And then again, today's October 6th. What's that, like 15 days? 15 days till the NBA season starts, 16 days until the Boston Celtics take on the Philadelphia 76ers in the first game of the NBA season. We still have so much to learn about this team. Excited to get into it. Let's plug a couple of things here up top. I mentioned this a couple of times. We're giving out some Celtics tickets once we get up to 3K subs. So let's boost it. Let's boost that algo a little bit. Hit the like, the hype, get involved in the chat, do the subscribe, all of those things. And then just one other thing I want to shout out here, First to the Floor. If you guys are familiar with the First to the Floor Celtics podcast over on CNLS Media, your boy's jumping on this week's episode. So I'm going to be up there with my boy Spoony. So stay tuned to that. That should drop either tonight or tomorrow. So shout out to First to the Floor. All right, let's get in. Let's get into some of the Celtics stuff that has been poking around over the weekend. I was listening to a little bit of Everything is Potable with our guy Handsome Be Wonderful, Jam Packard. We had Jay King over there. I believe they had Grandy on this past week. But one of the things they were talking about was Mazzulla and how he's going to respond to this new Celtics team. And it's something we've brought up in the past, but a line of thinking I hadn't really thought about was just like the level of patience. Are we going to see a level of patience from Mazzulla this year? How quick is his trigger going to be with some of these moves? Because, and again, we'll talk about the starting five towards the end because I'm curious of some of your thoughts. But when you look at Mazzulla's experience here coaching, he's been unfortunate in some ways where he was thrown in his first year at like right before the season started due to some weird stuff with Ime Udoka. Ime, who like clearly had a good relationship with the guys on the roster, all of a sudden is plucked out of there. Mazzulla's kind of jammed into this spot. And it's like, hey, this team has championship aspirations, figure it out. Fortunately, though, Mazzulla has been gifted a roster that included, a top 5, top 7 guy in the league, a top 20 guy in the league, and the Celtics immediately start, maneuvering and getting guys like Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis and beefing up the roster a bit, right? So now you're asking Mazzulla, like, hey, can you coach like basically 4 All-Stars to a title in a watered-down Eastern Conference? And the answer was yes, right? And the answer was yes. So in Mazzulla's time, he's had to coach. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but he hasn't really needed to develop. And that is what I think a lot of this year is going to look like, right? In different aspects of the game, there's going to have to be a lot of developing. Like Jaylen Brown is going to have to develop into that 101, right? The alpha of the team. He's always had some alpha energy, but it could be like a give and take with JB in years past. If he's got it that night, awesome. If JT's got it, we can let JT cook a little bit. When Tatum doesn't have it, Jaylen Brown's like, okay, tonight's my night to shine. He doesn't have that option. He has to be the guy, the main attraction, night in and night out. Peyton Pritchard, can you develop from a 6th Man of the Year candidate to someone who's going to be playing 30-plus minutes a game and in a lot of cases going to be a number 2 option? Derek White, I think we're pretty much going to get the same from Derek White that we always get from Derek White. He's going to be awesome defensively. He's going to make big plays. He does like Marcus Smart stuff, except shoots the ball a little bit more efficiently, and you take out some of the dumb stuff. Sorry, Marcus. The big guys, are you going to be able to develop big guys? Before, the question for the bigs were like, is Al Horford too old? Is Porzingis too giraffe-like and he's going to get hurt or a weird illness and we're going to not see him forever, right? But now we're like, can Neemias Queta step up in a meaningful way and play starter minutes, or is he still going to be that guy that comes off the bench and you're like, don't know what you got? Luka Garza, can you defend anybody? Anybody. Xavier Tillman, like, what do you have in the tank right now? We know that you're supposed to be in this bounce back situation. Like, he's going to have to develop a front court, not to just have guys play like 15 minutes, but to like develop starters. These young guys that we've been waiting on, Jordan Walsh, Baylor Shireman, Hugo Gonzalez. There's been a lot of buzz coming out of camp the last couple of days. Like, is Joe going to be able to get guys from here to here? And I think the level of patience is going to be something I'm excited to monitor, because Joe is clearly, nutbag energy sometimes, right? And when Nimi when Keita misses his first like 3 assignments on defense, is he getting the quick plug, or is he going to give these guys an opportunity to, one, make mistakes, and two, learn from their mistakes? And I think that, again, there's so much variance in this year's Celtics season that I'm a little bit nervous to watch, but I'm also very excited to watch, because I do think there is this opportunity where, like, if they get off to a hot start, I do really feel like that changes the trajectory of, who's on this team come All-Star break. It's going to change the trajectory, how people think about Mazzulla as a coach, what they think about JB and Peyton Pritchard. So I'm fascinated to see what this is going to look like, because you could tell me they get off to an 18-10 start in their first 28 games, or an 8-20 start in their first 28 games. I don't know why I changed I did 18-10, 8-20, right? You could tell me, I think both of those things are very much on the table. I think the depth is going to be such a fascinating thing, but the way Joe Mazzulla orchestrates this offense and this defense, I think we're going to learn a lot about not only the guys on this team, but Mazzulla as a coach this year. And I'm just curious to see, like, is he able to switch gears, or is he going to be 100% Mazzulla 100% of the time? So I thought they brought up a good point, and everything's potable. Just wanted to touch on it a little bit. Curious. I feel like Celtics fans are out on Mazzulla. Like, they're not angry at Mazzulla, but I feel like no one like trusts him. I'm on the other side. I think he's done like a great job with the situation he's been given. And I know, and you can absolutely say, like, name a coach that has walked into more talent than Mazzulla. I totally get it. But I do feel like he has connected this team in a way that we haven't seen. And I want to shout out Jaylen Brown too, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. I feel like JB is really taking this leadership role seriously, and I don't know if he's actually spoken to it a couple of times during media day, but like feels a little bit more comfortable in his own skin and himself as a person and as a leader on this basketball team. Sounds like he has been going out of his way for team building events, both on the court and off the court with this new roster. One of the things that Peyton Pritchard said over the weekend, excuse me, I apologize. We're almost there, guys. We're almost healthy, but you can still hear it. Is that the Celtics have done, how like almost everybody has been in like the Celtics training facilities all summer long, and part of the yes, everybody wants to level up, but part of the reason is that the last few years they've had the luxury of having the consistency in the core, the continuity within the Celtics roster and organization. Now you've had so much shakeup. I mean, like, truly from the front office down, from Austin Ainge bouncing, you've had assistant coaches leave over the last couple of years, and now you have just like a big roster shakeup. So to see the Celtics, especially the returning Celtics, take ownership and being like, hey, we need to like come together as a unit, because we can't rely on the continuity we've had over the years. So many new players, both who have been on the team but haven't had a role and now have a role. What's that tweet, like, effed around and somehow became important at work or something like that, right? That's you, Jordan Walsh. That's you. And then the new players that have come in, like Anthony Simons, who seems to have really been digging in. But anyways, excited for all of that. Let's move on to the intensity stuff. If you guys have not seen this yet, please go look it up. The NBA Central account tweeted it out. I know the Celtics account tweeted it out as well. Peyton Pritchard was doing an interview after practice, and the guy looked like he took a fingernail right into the neck. I mean, he's got dried blood coming down his neck. He's got a towel around him. He's got like a gash, and then just blood. Like, hey, can we let Peyton Pritchard? Can we let him into the locker room, clean up, put a little Band-Aid on? But it speaks to the intensity, and I mean, we've heard whispers of it, right? That the way that this is one of the tougher training camps that any Boston Celtic has gone through in the last few years, but it sounds like this intensity is nuts. And we're seeing it we're hearing about it on the defensive end, that is going to be one of the calling cards for this Celtics team this season. It's like, we might not have the most talented roster in the NBA or in the Eastern Conference, but we are going to outwork every single one of you. And I know, like, every coach, every team says, oh, we're going to be in the best shape, we're going to run harder, we're going to run faster, we're going to run smarter, right? Everybody says that, but it does. The reporting out of camp is that this Celtics team, like every player after her practice is over, is like keeled over and ready to vom. But Pritchard had some interesting quotes, and one of the things I wanted to point out, I kind of thought this was pulled out in a negative way just to get people riled up. We're going to cough again, apologies. But was referencing the Oklahoma City Thunder. And Peyton Pritchard said the Thunder got away with a lot of fouls in the playoffs. He said, when you see Oklahoma City, who won the championship, they got away with a lot of hands, a lot of fouls, physicality, stuff like that. The NBA in the playoffs is allowing a lot more physicality. Now, I think anybody reacting to that saying that that's new information is crazy, but also indicating that like OKC did something wrong, I think is also crazy. I don't think that's what Pritchard's saying, but I think it is a reminder that there are two NBAs. There is the regular 82 season the regular 82 game NBA season, where it's like, it's a long season. You're not gonna get away with the ticky. I mean, you can get away with the ticky tack stuff. You get into the postseason and like the rotation shrink, minutes balloon for the starters, and the physicality gets ramped up. It is a different game. You're not gonna get those touch fouls. They're gonna allow you to play a little bit more, which it's funny because people complain about it, but it is during the entire regular season. Everybody's like, "Oh, this game is soft. The game is soft. Let them play. Let the boys play." And then we get to the postseason, they let them play, and they're like, "Come on, man, it's a hand check." Pick a lane. But I think what Pritchard is saying is that this Celtics team, in order to be successful, they're just going to have to get tougher and get a little bit more physical. I didn't really take that as like OKC got away with one. You see the best teams always do this when you get to the postseason. You have to ramp it up. Make the officials make the call. If they're not going to, like Chris Paul was like a legend at this, right? I think back when Steph Curry was slowly becoming Steph Curry, CP3 was famous for this, where he's like, "Hey, I'm going to beat the hell out of this guy, and if the officials don't call it right away, I'm going to keep going it. Because if you don't call it in the first, how are you going to call it in the third, right? Or you're just going to call me for 25 fouls? Like, good luck." And so that's what he would do. And then, if the officials start blowing the whistle, CP3 chills out. But anyways, I thought those were good quotes. I didn't take it as OKC slander. I took it as like Celtics awareness that if order for them to be successful this season, it's not going to be just slash, cut, shoot the three. It's going to be slash and like physically cut. Like the intensity on the defensive end is going to be something different this year, I think. Let's talk a little bit about the top 50 here for according to HoopsHype, because I wanted to see if our Celtics made the list here. Obviously, I'm not going to read the top 50, but I'm going to read them to you until we get to a Celtics name, and then I want you to stop me if you're pissed off. All right, here we go. So they had Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 1. I don't know if that was just hat tip to the reigning MVP. We'll put him number 1. I think putting anybody over Nikola Jokic right now is batshit. What are we doing? Jokic is the best player in the world. Let's stop messing around. But anyways, SGA 1, Jokic 2, Giannis 3. No problems there outside of I'd have Jokic 1. Those 3 are the top 3 to me. They have Luka 4. Okay, we can have a conversation. They have Anthony Edwards 5. Now, to me, this is maybe projecting. Maybe you've just liked what you've heard from Anthony Edwards this offseason. I'm an Ant-Man guy. Like, you put him in the top 10 for sure. 5 feels spicy, but again, there's no Tatum, so you take out like a clear top 5, top 6 guy. Okay, fine. Ant-Man 5, Jalen Brunson 6, Spida Mitchell, Donovan Mitchell 7. Okay. Cade Cunningham 8. We got Cade Cunningham 8. Number 9, Victor Wembanyama. Wemby. Also, I don't know if you saw the preseason stuff from Wemby. He had this move where he basically combined KD and Shaq in one play. He had the ball up at the top of the key, dribbled by a guy, then just like bodies a guy and throws it down. Like, remember that like vintage highlight of Shaq where he dunks and then kind of humps the air? That's what Wemby did. I think we get a Wemby season coming. I know it's like he's frail, he's going to get hurt. Maybe he does. Maybe you're not supposed to be like 7'6" or whatever he is. I get it, whatever. They have Jalen Williams 10, J-Dub 10. So from Victor to J-Dub, Steph Curry 11. I think that's a little ageist. I get it. Spicy P, Pascal Siakam 12. Okay. Evan Mobley 13. Scatman I don't know why I call him Scatman Karl Anthony Towns 14. Paolo Banchero, 15, Anthony Davis, 16, and then Jaylen Brown, 17. I'm going to rattle off like 5 or 6 more names just so you know who JB's in front of. You got Booker, LeBron James, Trae Young, Sengun, KD, Embiid, Sabonis, Harden, Morant, Fox, Wagner, Zubac, and Derek White, top 30. Shout out Derek White getting in the top 30. I'll be honest, I was just trying to get to 30 when I ripped that off. I forgot Derek White was there. 17 feels kind of crazy for JB, only because, like, I don't know, man. I think I'm taking Jaylen Brown over Pascal Siakam. Is that slanderous? Is that wild? I think I'm taking JB over him. I think I'm taking JB over Cat. Like, I know Cat is a dynamic offensive player. I don't know. I think I'm taking JB over Cat. I think Paolo, sure. Mobley, I think we're going to see Mobley take a massive leap. Mobley, like on the defensive end, is incredible. So I guess maybe those are my only two issues there. I think I'd put JB 15 because I'd put him over Spicy P and Karl Anthony Towns. Siakam at 12 is nuts. I would like 12th best player in the league. I don't know. I feel like I'd just swap JB and Siakam, or JB should be 15, Siakam 17. But putting him ahead of Devin Booker, I don't know if that's just some Phoenix hate. But after that, I don't think that's crazy. Just some guys that Derek White's ahead of, by the way. He's ahead of Maxey, Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr., Darius Garland, Julius Randle, Bam Adebayo, Scam Adebayo, Jamal Murray, Tyler Hero, Scotty Barnes, Kawhi. Then they have Mikal Bridges 40. That kind of feels right. I don't know. I think I have JB 15. I'm having a. Are you guys taking Siakam or Jaylen Brown? Let me know in the chat. All right, let's get into some of your comments. I just want your starting five because most of the comments are about Simons or Pritchard. But the other one I'll throw at you is actually, before we do that, just two things. Hit the subscribe if you haven't done that. I want to plug one other thing. So I mentioned that the Celtics start October 22nd against the Sixers. October 21st is the first day of the NBA season. On my YouTube channel, you probably see me in the comments, the NBA Bit with Mike Zakarian. That's me. I'm doing a marathon show on October 21st, Tuesday, the first day of the NBA season from noon Eastern all the way to tip for the first game. We're giving away cash. We're giving away NBA tickets that day. We've got guests like Andrew Schlecht from The Athletic. We've got Trill Bro Dude, if you're from SB Nation, if you're a 76ers fan, which you're not, you're a Celtics fan, but Trill Bro's great. We've got Noah Delzell from CNLS Media is going to be jumping on. We've got so many different guests popping on throughout the entire day. We're giving away a ton of stuff, just getting hyped for the NBA season. So October 21st from noon all the way to the first. This is my Scott Hansen moment, my NFL Red Zone, all right? Speaking of NFL Red Zone, Drake May, baby. That was exciting. I'm sorry. That was exciting. I didn't go to bed early enough because of it, because my adrenaline was just ramped up after that. Are you kidding me? In the Buffalo? The kid's 22. Barely gets into bars. And he just went into Buff. Stephon Diggs. God, I loved it. Oh, it gave me something. Between that and the Yankees just getting absolutely spankied over the weekend. Hoo-hoo-hoo. Okay, anyway, sorry. Let's get into your starting five. So I think Simons Pritchard, everybody's going to talk about. That's the sexy one to talk about. Who's going to be the starting guard? Is it Simons or Pritchard? I think I go Pritchard and White. That's my backcourt, all right? JB, obviously, that's number 3. Okay, are we really starting Sam Hauser at the 4? I feel like there's been a lot of Sam Hauser buzz starting at the 4, which I just keep thinking, who does he guard on defense? At the 4, I think how tall is Sam Hauser? Was he like 6'6"? Let's see. Let's Google. How tall is Sam Hauser? He's 6'7". All right, dude. I'm sorry for the disrespect. 6'7". I just don't see him. I don't see him guarding power forwards, though. Listen, my option's not any better. I thought it was going to be Chris Boucher. Chris Boucher, who apparently is saying, they were talking about how his heart rate doesn't move. So, even during these intense practices, his heart rate stays the same. And that's either wildly impressive or he's not trying. Should he try harder? Anyways, I think I got Boucher at the 5 and Boucher at the 4 and Nemi at the 5. But I'm curious what your thoughts are. Are you going the Boucher route, or are you the Sam Hauser? Or is it somebody that we haven't mentioned yet? Do you think? I think there is like a Luka Garza camp out there. I don't know. I'm curious what your thoughts are. So let me know in the chat. Or hit us in the tittus, as our guys, the Lonely Island podcast would say. But that's going to do it for me today. We're back, baby. It's Monday. We're back. We're inching closer to hoops. We'll be back tomorrow. And then Wednesday, we finally get some Celtics hoops, baby, against the Memphis Grizzlies. So get excited. Hit the subscribe. We will see you tomorrow.